All right, let's dive into one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. We're about to open a book that's been sealed shut for 600 years, not by a lock and key, but by a language that, well, nobody on Earth can actually read. It's a book that has stumped the world's most brilliant minds, and it remains this beautiful and, yeah, incredibly frustrating puzzle. I mean, just imagine this for a second. You find a medieval book. It's filled with this elegant script and these gorgeous illustrations of plants you've never seen and stars you don't recognize. Now, imagine that for over 100 years. The best code breakers, top linguists, even super smart AI have all tried to read it, and they've all failed. Not a single word has ever been understood. Well, that's not a thought experiment. That's the enigma of the Voynich manuscript. So what exactly is this thing? It gets its name from Wilfrid Voynich, a book dealer who stumbled upon it back in 1912. But the manuscript's real story, well, that started centuries earlier. And that is where the mystery really kicks into high gear. At its heart, what we're looking at is a book written in a language that appears nowhere else in the world. For more than a century now, it's been this siren's call for code breakers and scholars. It's like the perfect, unbreakable puzzle that has just resisted every single attempt to unlock what's inside. You know, to solve any puzzle, you have to start with the evidence. So let's do that. Let's approach this thing like it's a cold case. What clues are hiding in its pages? What do we actually know for sure? Okay, first thing, it's age. Thanks to carbon dating, we know the actual vellum pages were made sometime in the early 15th century. So this book is over 600 years old. Wow. After Voynich brought it into the spotlight in 1912, it bounced around a bit before eventually landing at Yale University, where it sits today, just silently daring anyone to figure it out. And if you look inside, the book seems to be broken up into these distinct sections, kind of like a weird encyclopedia. First, there's a botanical section with over 100 different plants, but get this, most of them are completely unknown to science. Then you've got these intricate astronomical charts full of suns and moons and zodiacs. And then things get truly bizarre in the biological part, with these drawings of figures bathing in some sort of green liquid, all connected by these strange organic-looking tubes. And finally, there are pages that look, well, they look like recipes, full of instructions that we can't even begin to follow. So the illustrations are definitely strange, but honestly, they're only half the story. The real mystery, the thing that makes this manuscript so incredibly fascinating, is the script, the writing itself. The script is so unique, it actually has its own name, Voynichese. And here's the paradox, right? It's not just random scribbles. When you analyze it statistically, it behaves just like a real language. Words repeat, certain letters show up more often than others. It seems to have grammar and syntax. It should be readable, but it's not. So naturally, a puzzle this tempting has attracted some of the best minds in the business. The history of the Voynich manuscript is really a history of 100 years of brilliant people trying and failing to crack it. First, you had the Titans, military code breakers from World War I and II. I mean, these are people who cracked the most complex enemy ciphers imaginable. They failed. Okay, so then came the machines, computers running massive statistical analyses looking for any kind of pattern. They also failed. Most recently, we've unleashed artificial intelligence on it, hoping some algorithm could see what humans couldn't. And you guessed it, the AI has failed too. So what's the result of all that effort? A century of genius and technology? Nothing. Not one word. Not a single sentence has ever been verifiably translated. The book's lock has never been picked. This total lack of progress has led to a really fascinating debate. If we can't read it, what on earth could it be? And that brings us to the prime suspects in our little mystery, the main theories about what this manuscript really is. The experts are completely divided on this, and each theory has its own really passionate supporters. So what are we looking at here? Is it a forgotten language, an ingenious, unbreakable code? Or is it something a lot stranger? Okay, let's look at the three leading explanations. The first is that it's a sophisticated cipher. This idea suggests the text is a known language, maybe something like Latin or Italian, but it's encrypted with a code that's just so complex we haven't been able to crack it. Theory number two is that it's a constructed language, or a conlang. That means the author literally invented an entire language from scratch with its own grammar, its own vocabulary, kind of like an early version of Tolkien's Elvish. And finally, there's the theory that it's all just an elaborate hoax. Beautiful, intricate, but ultimately meaningless gibberish, maybe created to fool some rich patron. So, a cipher, a language, or a hoax? The truth is, we just don't know. And that uncertainty, that is exactly why the Voynich manuscript is still one of the most captivating objects in the entire world. Just think about that for a second. More than 100 years of intense study, a century of our best and brightest minds, and we are no closer to an answer today than Wilfrid Voynich was back in 1912. You know, we live in a world where we're used to having answers. Everything is just a click away. We have data for everything. But the Voynich manuscript, it's this powerful reminder that there are still these profound mysteries left to solve. Puzzles that just resist every attempt we make to understand them. It is, as one scholar put it so perfectly, a puzzle that defies explanation, inviting imagination, scholarly inquiry, and a sense of wonder. It really forces us to confront this fascinating question: what if some secrets are actually meant to stay unsolved?